Hey everyone, thanks for joining. My name's John. I'm a software engineer with about 10 years of experience. Let's build some open source features. In front of us is the Hall of Fame, and this is what we're going to work on today. If you're on TikTok, you can go over to YouTube and see the full screen. And where to kick off? Let's merge main. I just had to rewrite Git history because I previously accidentally committed a user email to code, so I had to rewrite history. So we'll see. Now, after rewriting history, the pull request is only showing a delta of 2 pages, and I can't remember if that's right or if we lost like a bunch of code. So we'll find out. So the first thing I'm going to do is merge main. And we're still showing 2. That might be correct. Okay, so let's try and launch the application. We'll run dev. Open up another terminal for Git operations. And let's check out localhost. By the way, I noticed CSS comes before HTML. Feels like I should switch those. So let's go to the checklist items. Sam Altman was fired. Yeah, I heard about that. Do you know why? I think the press release said that he didn't communicate effectively to the board, and so maybe he lied about something. I don't know. Here is the checklist.json. Thanks for the follow. I might throw on some anime or some Spotify here. Let me know if y'all have a preference. So here we talk about HTML. Yeah, CSS is before. I might have done that just because alphabetical order, but that feels like the wrong order, right? So that'll be an easy, quick commit, and that is this is like a content, but I don't really, there's not like a Git standard commit for content, is there? Okay. Let's push that into code, and I can also run the migration now from local. Checklist. So first we'll do a backup. dbc to update latest checklist. So npm run backup. Backup is complete. We're up to 98 users. Check that out. That's cool. And now we will npm run seed in place. And what that does is it takes the latest checklist, and instead of creating a new version, it literally mutates the checklist in place. So that your existing checklists, if you already have one, it should just switch HTML and CSS in place now. Oh, and I might have done nothing because I might have overridden my change with the backup. Well, that's easy to figure out. I just refresh the page. So here we are in prod. Is it still HTML before CSS? Yeah, it is. Okay. Let me switch these around. I see some other green marks. What are they? Substantive web. Yep, no good. Is it listed twice? So this is plain text. That's no good. So the backup right now like preserves both. If I changed it, it will preserve the new one and the old one, just kind of like from a safety perspective, but then you end up with duplicates. See, and now I actually have duplicates in prod, you can see. Man, it looks like I got a spam bot on my YouTube. We'll see. Hopefully that blocked him. Just signed up for Latterly. Looking forward to going through the content. Thanks, Monique. Good to see you here. So maybe I should just roll these back, eh? I have optimized my LinkedIn. Yeah. All the green items appear to be worse. Not only are they duplicates, they are usually replacing links with plain text, which I don't want to do. All right, so let me roll this back, discard those changes, close this, we'll go over here. Let's look for HTML again. Switch HTML for CSS, fix that order, and this time I'm not going to back up, and we'll try to update it in place again without backing up. Oh, just kidding. HTML before CSS is already in the Git repo. All right, good. So now, let's see. It's not going to switch them for me. Okay, so this is a user checklist, and it may be the case that even though we're updating checklists in place, we're not updating user checklists in place. All right, let's take a look at that code. Seed in place code. Okay, so update latest. Here we find the checklist, we find first, and we update it. That's it. So I think I need to go and update all the user checklists as well. So you can see the user checklist is associated to the checklist. So my user checklist is the one that includes my state for this one is checked, that one is checked, and so on. So I could wipe them all, or I could perform a diff and say like any that weren't already checked. Or like if you were previously checked, you're still checked, otherwise you're unchecked. I think that makes sense. Okay. let's ask GPT to do the boilerplate here. So let's clear this, enable the history, switch over to 4 because we want to be smart. We need to update a TypeScript migration for a Blitz.js application. Consider the partial Prisma schema below. So we'll tell it about the user checklist and we'll tell it about the user. Nope, the checklist. Checklist item also makes sense. We can do both of those. And I will say, I will next show you the existing migration code, which only updates the checklist records. We need to propagate checklist item changes on the checklist to the related user checklist records. Great, I'm ready to assist you. Please go ahead and share the existing migration code. Here is the existing migration code. Let's isolate our changes to the case where the script is called with boom. After updating or creating each checklist item, we should find all associated user checklist records that reference the updated checklist. For each of these user checklist records, we should update the corresponding user checklist items. This might involve creating new ones, updating existing ones, or possibly deleting those that no longer exist. Correct, correct, correct. Optionally, remove user checklist items that no longer have a corresponding checklist item. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's extract all the logic that we are calling within to its own function. Okay, so we have update latest. If update latest, then we're going to await update latest checklists. Okay. There's Copilot helping us. And in here, nope, that's wrong. In here, we are going to grab this block. Okay, so checklists needs a type on it. Yeah. Put it to do for now. Mexico Plus, so cool. Thank you, thank you. Quick reminder, you can go over to YouTube, link is in the bio, and see the full screen. You can also sign up for free at latterly.io, and that's also in the bio. I think it's going to help out. It's going to help out GPT to have this this schema. So let's go ahead. Let's harden the schema for the checklists we read out of JSON. We should also add a validation step that throws if the schema isn't compliant. Here's some sample data. Notice that the main array is a union type of a string or an object with certain properties. I do have Zod installed. So this is going to make it easier to validate the type. Checklist item schema is a string or an or this object, and then here's the strongly typed object. Bonito, bonito. Qué bonita. Vamos a ver. Necesitamos create another file, so I will close others. Here we have the seed file, and I will make a new folder, which is seed utils, and here I will make a new file which is checklist or like update checklists. Update checklists.ts. Okay. So I have all these things. And then I even have this thing. At one point, I put a square bracket there. That is not correct. That is not correct. Boop. Go ahead and export that. This checklist, here we need to import the Prisma. By the way, I should not be using Prisma. I should be using DB. We can replace all references, DB dot. This is great. This is not what I meant to do this stream, but this is a lot better actually. Where's my DB at? I want to make sure that I'm grabbing the enhanced Prisma. This is a Blitz DB object. It wraps the literal Prisma client. Cool, so we're grabbing that one. It's working, it's working, I love it. Let's go ahead and import this. Add the import, okay. And then checklists. These are arguably two different files, right? Yeah, I'm going to break these two files apart. I mean, what's the point in having a cutils directory if I'm not going to make multiple files? But the real reason that I want to do that is the checklist type is a different concern than the update checklists.ts. You could make a case that they're a related concern because you need to have the type in here. Justin, what's up? Thanks for joining on Twitch, Justin. You can make the case that they're the same type because this checklist over here needs to follow the type, right? So this is the checklist, which is the same one. Okay, so you can argue it's the same type. Fine, we'll leave it together. That's fine. That's fine. I could see that going either way, to be honest with you, but this is fine. Everything's fine. So here, checklists needs to be a list. No, it's this. How do I get the type out of that? Is this already a type? Z.infer, nice. Okay, so here I have the checklist item schema, and now I have the checklist item type, which is the type of this schema. And you can see it's a string or that object. Boner alert! I love me some Zod, y'all. I love me some Zod. I know that was inappropriate, but we love Zod. I'm sorry. So there you go. Checklist schema. Fine. Okay, this needs to get exported. So we're going to export the checklist schema. Then we import it over here. So here we have checklists. equals checklist schema parse. I'm going to call this unverified checklists. Or yeah, unverified. I'm just going to call this unverified checklist JSON. Unverified checklist JSON. Works for me. And if you don't like it, you can open a pull request. How about that? Literally, like I'm open to pull requests even for stuff as petty as naming. If you're like, this name sucks, open a pull request. I'm literally not mad about it. Great. Does my type flow through? Look at that. Shoosh! Mix it, mix it, mix it. How much do you make? Well, the stock is kind of fluctuating. I signed it $370 a year. It's a little less than that right now, though. But performance review is coming up, so I'll get that raise. But anyway, we're in the 300s. We're in the 300s. How about you, Javi? Thanks for being here. Okay, so now I have update checklists. So let's update the import. Cool, and this is good that we did this, because now we can see this type is not the checklist item type. This type, and where's name coming from? Name. Name is coming from here. Okay. For checklist data of checklists. Yep. So this is a checklist data type. Christian says I'm making like $5 an hour. Let's learn to code, homie. Let's learn to code. Me, 35K a year. Awesome. Loving the transparency, y'all. Javi says I make 50K. Cool. Thanks for being here, y'all. Is it Javi or Javi? Okay, so we're gonna validate. That's already done. We love to implement a to-do, don't we? Now this is saying for checklist data of checklists. I should not be passing checklists in there. This should say checklist, singular. Okay. So checklist is a what? Yeah, let's look back at the git diff. Thanks for the follow, Jimmy. Lucius, hey bud, what's going on? Manuel says, can we? Oh, Christian, I'm joking. I'm a software engineer too. You threw me, dude. You threw me. Can you believe there's actually people out there? There really are though, making $5 an hour. It's super sad. My response is like, let's help them. You know, let's teach them to code too. Yeah, you can totally contribute, Manuel. This is open source. So if you go to laterally.io, you can see open source curriculum. You can check that out. And then also in the footer, GitHub. And it'll take you to the code base and you can contribute here. So this is literally what I'm working on today. Thanks for the follow. Quick reminder, you can go over to YouTube, link is in the bio. If you're enjoying the video, tap the screen. That'll give it some likes and the TikTok algorithm will push it out. Appreciate it. So what are we doing right here? We're trying to make HTML appear before CSS. When you're learning to code, I want you to learn HTML first, CSS second. And that's because your CSS is applied to your HTML, so it doesn't really make sense to learn. You actually can't use CSS by itself. You need to use them together. But you can use HTML by itself. So that's why that's the first one to learn. Oof. Okay, so we're going to do the get diff. Here is the original code, and you can see what I was previously doing is if update checklist, then I would find first out of the checklist data. It's the checklist data is how we get name and items. So is this the only place that I'm using name? Yeah, I guess so. Okay. So do I want to pass the whole checklist data or just parts of it? Need to pass the name, the ID. I'm going to pass the whole data. Okay, so checklist data. And why don't I just call it checklist? Checklist of checklists. Is checklist, oh, because checklist is used over here. So these are different things. All right, fine, fair enough. These are different things. But doesn't HTML load before CSS anyways? Absolutely yes. Yes, it does. All right, cool. So here's the checklist data. And now let's go type it on this side to get everything correct. So this is checklist data. It's not a checklist item. It's one of these items. Checklist item schema. Huh. Checklist schema. Somehow checklists knows it's an array. Checklist schema. Do you use Zod at work too? No, not currently. I mostly do Python at work these days, and Ruby. So it's MyPyC over there and Sorbet on the Ruby. But man, Zod would kick some booty if we could use Zod in Python. Is there a Zod Python library? Not to my knowledge, but maybe there is. So something is not working here. So what's not working here? Said, thanks for the follow. Lucius, I'm not sure if you answered my question. Girlfriend stole my phone. If you could you tell me again? Your question about doesn't HTML load before CSS? The answer is yes. Yes, it does. Oof. So we got this checklist data, name, version, items. Is that right? Name, version, items. I guess that is right. That is a checklist. Name, version, items. So what's name, version, items? That is checklist schema. Okay. So here I want the checklist data type. Checklist, I'll call this checklist seed data, to distinguish it from the actual checklist DB entity is the idea here. Yep, that works. Okay. What's this program do? It's a website. Oh, the program we're working on right now is a seed. So it puts data in the database. So here on the website, we have this checklist, and all of these texts are coming from the database. And so I want to change these really just so that HTML comes before CSS, which means I need to update the database. Does that make sense? And so what we're doing is we are reseeding in place instead of doing a migration. And so that's this seeds.ts that we're doing here. Imran, thanks for sharing. Okay, so now we have this checklist, and this is the checklist data. And I'll go ahead and, just for clarity, it's not technically needed because you can see the type is already flowing through. But just for clarity, if a developer is reading this and going checklist versus checklist data, like what's going on? I will say as checklist seed data type. And does it matter about that? Maybe I can do one of these. Checklists is an array of yeah, why did that not work? It got mad about that somehow. Name does not exist on string or. No, they're right. Checklist seed data type. I'm wrong here. Checklist. Yeah, okay, that's what happened. I didn't do this piece. Bam. So now I got the checklist. Why is it not expanding there? That's annoying. Checklist seed data type. And now we're good. Now we're good, right? Cool. Cameron, what's going on? Thanks for being here, Cameron. Diaz says, how to debug with Valgrind. I have no idea, my guy. Cameron says, I taught myself React and I'm struggling to get my first job. You came to the right place, dude. You came to the right place for 100%. So here's the checklist. Go sign up for free. If you already taught yourself React, hopefully you already got the portfolio on GitHub. If not, maybe you're about here. You're probably somewhere around here. Flashcard study tool, optional, that's optional. But you need to optimize your resume, apply to 70 plus places a week. This is somewhere I see people falling down. If you already have the tech skills, if you're having trouble in the job search, there's three big mistakes I see people make. The three big mistakes that I see people make, number one is volume. They think they have the skills so they can apply to their 5 favorite places. No, not in this market. 70 plus places each week. The second big mistake is a lack of social follow-up. If you're throwing your resume out into the black void, up into the system, it's not going anywhere. Go to LinkedIn, DM a hiring manager, a technical recruiter, or a peer software developer. Connect with them, try to get a referral, definitely follow up with them. And the third thing is lack of optimization on the portfolio, the resume, and the LinkedIn. If you have those pillars in place, it's just a matter of time after that. Maybe you need to go through a few interviews just to knock the rust off and get good at the interview skill itself. That happens to everybody. I hate to break it to you, but the first 3 interviews that you go to, it's probably just going to be rough. So that's the basics, and then you can always sign up for, if you need like a more personalized deep dive, you can always book an expert session with me right there. Again, Latterly.io. There's the free tier, and then there are, you can upgrade for more advanced stuff if you want. Some of the advanced stuff, additional items, basically like use LinkedIn Premium. So additional items that are going to give you data-driven improvements. And so with LinkedIn Premium, we know, for example, research shows 4.6 times more effective when you're using this InMail with LinkedIn Premium. He could try Fiverrly. What's Fiverrly? Let's take a look. I've never heard of Fiverrly. Cameron says, finishing up the portfolio, also started fixing up my resume, almost time for volume. Get it, bro. I'm stoked for you, dude. He says, I've been doing the LinkedIn Premium too. Networking is hard though. That's that can be true. I don't know. I don't know. For me, the networking piece is kind of easy. A lot of the stress I think we put in our own heads. Like if I try to connect with 5 people and only one of them connects, a lot of us will tell ourselves that we're doing a bad job. But actually, that's totally fine. It's actually totally fine if you try to connect with 5 people and only one of them works out. That's totally fine. There's billions of people in the world, and you just need a couple hundred people in your network. I don't want to feel like I'm only connecting to get myself ahead. Well, then don't do it. So I get the vibe. I literally get the vibe, and you literally don't have to do it. So with me, for example, you can connect to me on LinkedIn, and people have done this. And they obviously want me to help them out in their career. That's fine. But they are also willing to put in some work on Latterly. Or they want my genuine feedback where they say, hey, check out my portfolio. I check it out. I give them feedback. And they actually follow through. Dude, I'm definitely going to help you out at that point. Now, it's true. If you're like, hey, take a look at my portfolio, and you actually don't give a shit what I have to say, and you're really just using this like a line for professional networking, that's going to piss me off, and I'm not going to refer you, right? But if you have like a conversation, right, and you actually take action based on that conversation, what that's showing me is, hey, this person is coachable, they have good communication, they're understanding what I'm saying, and they're taking action based on it. They took initiative to reach out. Yo, you're starting to build up, like, I should refer this person. You see what I'm saying? And you can even connect just for, like, memes and stuff. Like, don't make a big deal about it. Latterly, here's one other thing I'll say. Latterly has a Discord. Latterly has a Discord. There's only about 100 people on the Discord. It's not super huge, but everyone on the Discord is there for networking. So literally it's expected. And there are the endorsed communities. So this is, again, Latterly open source, the endorsed community guide. Hundreds of thousands of people on these tech Discords are down to connect. So just go connect with them. Lucius is making a good point. If you do the Fiverr thing, it's rough. You're talking about freelancing. Trust me, I've done it. It's rough. But if you get clients, you're definitely connecting with them. So that's one way to do it. I don't think it's the easiest way, but it works for some people. Kay says, what is the Discord name? So you go to latterly.io, link is in my bio. and then you just hit the Discord link right there. So it's the Latterly Discord. And Cameron says, IDK, how to go from hi to give me a job. There's two ways. One is you say, give me a job at first. You say, give me a job at first. You know what? You know what you need, dude? You need the networking scripts. So again, this is all included in Latterly. This is open source, but literally the networking scripts are like, hey, this is what you should say. Just say to begin with that you're interested in a role at their company. Say that to begin with, and you don't have to have a weird conversation later. So that's approach number one. And approach number two is you have a weird conversation later. Fuck it. What are they going to do? Say no? So later you can say, so I don't know, how do you originally connect with them? Here's what you shouldn't do. Click the connect button and don't say anything. And they're like, why did this person like even try to connect with me? That's weird, right? So you should, whenever you're connecting with them, you should give them a reason to connect with you. Whether that's, hey man, I saw your YouTube video. I thought it was like an inspiring message. Cool. Or you go to like a meetup in real life, or you go to an event. You're like, hey man, I'm the guy you met at, PyCon. It was great to meet you there. Love to connect. Or maybe it's something like friend of a friend connection. Like, hey man, my friend James said that, you're smart when it comes to Kotlin, and I want to learn more about Kotlin. And so he recommended I connect with you. Awesome. So whatever the deal is, you're giving them a reason that you're connecting. And in these cases, you're not telling them about your job interest up front, right? So now you're kind of creating a situation where there's going to be an awkward conversation later if your real intent is to get a job. But you can still have that conversation, and here's how you make it not awkward. You just don't be awkward. You just don't be awkward. You just say, so first of all, you have a few conversations. You don't want to do the one message and then this. Have a few conversations on whatever the general intent is. If it's the Kotlin thing, have a conversation about Kotlin. Let a week or two go by and then say, by the way, I see you work at X. I'm looking for a job. I checked out that company. This role looked cool. Let me know if you would be open to referring me. There's a move. Let me know if you'd be open to referring me. Kay says, I just say happy to connect with you. Is that bad? No, it's not bad. Different things you say are going to have different levels of efficacy. I think happy to connect with you is going to be a pretty ineffective message. So it's only bad in the sense that it's kind of ineffective. Oh no, this is definitely the wrong stream title. Sorry about that, guys. On YouTube, I said that I'm doing leet code. No, I'm not. So yeah, happy to connect with you. I think that's going to be a pretty ineffective message, and you are sowing the seeds of a weird conversation later, because if your true intent is to get a job, you're going to have to make a lot of back and forth to get from A to B. So the smart thing to do is just say it up front. Just say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Would love to connect and talk to you about this company or talk to you about this role. If you've been networking for a while, you realize the job search is actually the easiest time to network, because it is a good reason to connect with people that you would otherwise not be connecting with. So you can literally connect with hundreds of people in the span of a few weeks. And the reason for that is because the job search itself is already a good excuse to reach out to people. So just do it. So you're going to reach out to them, and then in the future you're giving them permission to reach out for you. So it's not a free lunch. So you don't necessarily owe them one. It's just a professional courtesy. And whenever they message you in the future, be nice, right? Agreement fulfilled, social contract validated. Light Blessing Forever sent a rose. Thanks, Light Blessing. Have you ever used the R library in Pi? No, I've not. Cheeky says, I interviewed with a company last week. When should I be hearing back? Ooh, I like this one. Thanks, Cheeky. 3 strikes and you're out. That's what I say. Let's see. Follow up. Here you go. It's literally in the same file we're looking at, the networking scripts. Follow-up script preface, the three strikes rule. Anyone worth talking to doesn't have time for this. Thanks, Mickey045, with the blank profile pic. So here's the three strikes rule. Basically, you move on after three strikes. You can follow up once a week. Don't do more than that. That's annoying. That's my advice. And then, like, what about a Friday? Okay, whatever. The edge cases are covered here. Message only once per week. You may message once the same day that you apply. And you can even message 2 or 3 people on that same day, but do not follow up with a single contact until the following week. So let's say that I want to apply to Walmart. Okay. I apply and I reach out to Sarah, who is a tech recruiter at Walmart. I should not like message Sarah again tomorrow. I mean, if she responds to me, cool. But if she doesn't respond, doing it like 2 or 3 days in a row is like super annoying. I can do it next week, and if she doesn't respond again, I'm moving on. If I'm in a hurry so that I want to reach out, find a second person. Find a second person. And you can reach out to 2 or 3 people, but don't reach out to the same person 2 or 3 times in the same day or two. That's super annoying. Sweet. All right, let's get back to some code, eh? Good questions, chat. Thanks for being here. If you got any value out of the answers, tap the video to give it a like so that TikTok will send the video to other people who are interested in programming. Reminder, you can go to Latterly.io, sign up for free, link is in the bio. And you can go over to YouTube, link is also in my bio, and see the full screen today. Could you paste that link of the repo? I don't think I can, right? Like I don't actually know how to get into the chat when I'm streaming, but it's right here. It's this link. So Latterly.io, once again, just check out the website. It has the stuff you're looking for, so check it out. Thanks for the likes. We're over 500 now. Cameron says, awesome stuff, dude. Great open source content. Thank you so much, Cameron. I appreciate the love. Ugh. All right, let's get back to it. So what are we doing? We're trying to tell people to learn HTML before CSS. That's what all this work is in service of. Let's not forget the big picture. Okay, so we just said that the checklist data is following this type. Error-free, it's looking good. We'll come address these errors momentarily. Item data is possibly undefined. That's easy enough. It really should not be undefined. Yeah, so the only reason that it's undefined from a TypeScript typing perspective is because here, TypeScript knows that I'm looking up a number index. And there's no way to type represent that it's this for loop. So the for loop is guaranteeing that we stay inside of the array, but TypeScript doesn't know that. In theory, I could be 1,000 and it could be out of bounds, which would, an out of bounds lookup on a JavaScript array is undefined. So that's why you could get undefined. So all we need to do here is do an exit condition if it's undefined. Why is this a let, by the way? Do I ever reassign it? Yeah, I don't see why it's a let. It should be a const, shouldn't it? These do get reassigned. Okay, so here we can just add an if condition. So if the type is undefined, and then we'll throw new error. GitHub Copilot coming in clutch. Checklist item is undefined for checklist. Boom. Item IDX. Boom. Cool. Looks good. Over 1,000 likes. Appreciate y'all, chat. Lucius, thank you so much. I see the likes coming in from Lucius. Thank you. Okay, so now we have no type errors in here. We want to make sure that this file is valid, and then we can commit everything. Okay, so what's the issue here? The issue here is that we don't know what checklist is. So here is let checklist. Now over here, we let checklist, null by default, okay? And it's an out parameter. It's an out parameter, which means, I don't want to do that. An out parameter is an indirect pattern where I reassign an argument. So if I pass it in like this, checklist, and then this line mutates my argument, that's an out parameter. It's indirect. What I'd rather do is this, be explicit. See what I'm saying? So let's do that. Let's do that. And in order to do that, I need to return something from this method. Okay, so now that we're returning something, this is going to be an internal checklist. And we'll ultimately end up returning it. Okay. Name is going to be checklist data.name. All right, we got that. And then the version is going to be checklist data.version. All right, so we resolved those type issues. This is looking great. This is looking great. And now I am not providing the checklist as an argument anymore. So it's not an out parameter, now it's functional. Input gives me output. Carry on my wayward son. Asma. Ooh, okay, cool name. Hold on. Asmama. What language is that? This is TypeScript. You can see .ts at the top of the file. So TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. If you can read JavaScript, you can read TypeScript. The difference would be these type annotations. So if I take that type annotation away, this line is just regular JavaScript. If I add the type annotation, that makes it TypeScript. And why is this useful? So that I can catch bugs ahead of time. In JavaScript, I might see a variable like this, and I don't really know what's in there. Like that could be a string, that could be a number, that could be an object. But now with TypeScript, I know exactly what it is. It's either a checklist or it's null. Make sense? Cool, so this did not fix our main issue, but it did allow us to more strongly type the seed file and extract the updating logic. So here we'll put the feature, stronger typed seed file, and extract seed utils logic. Ted, what's up, Ted? Ted says, almost thought that terminal prompt was doxing themselves. Oof, that would be brutal. GG joined. Love that username. What's up, GG? Strong type is better because less chance for type errors. I'm with you. I'm with you. It takes some extra effort. I don't always use types, specifically if I'm interviewing. I'm not doing TypeScript, I'm doing plain JavaScript. But pretty much any project that's going to last outside of a week, I'm typing it. Even scripts, as you can see here, I'm in a seed file. Even scripts, if they are going to be maintained for like longer than a week. And if there are shared types, I think it's worth typing. I don't bother to type entities that are not, if it's really obvious what the data type is, and if that type is never shared, I usually don't bother to type it. But I will type it if it's a reused type, or even if it's only used in one place, but if it's like a non-obvious type, I'll go ahead and specify it. That's called extreme programming, prepping for the future and possible updates. Let's go. Okay. So here we are, we're accumulating these changes. Looking good. Got my Vercel preview environment is building successfully. Everything's building successfully. Now I need to completely circle back with GPT. Because I don't know if I've hit my token cutoff. So I really just want to start from the top. So I'm going to say the Prisma schema has not changed, so I can take this literal schema and I'm going to delete this chat because I don't want GPT to even remember the old implementation. That's going to create the equivalent of a cognitive bias for GPT. It's going to anchor, and there will be basically in ChatGPT's contextual memory, there will be old implementations that are no longer relevant. So I'm just going to start a fresh chat. Okay, we need to update the TypeScript migration for Blitz.js application. Consider the partial Prisma schema below. And next, I'll show you the existing migration code. Great, I'm ready to assist. Let's see the migration code. Lucius, but isn't there already old implementation from you even asking the question? The answer is yes, and I don't want GPT to even be aware of that. So even though it exists, I want GPT to pretend it doesn't exist. Does that make sense? I want it to give it fresh eyes, basically. Wait, does ChatGPT able to create malware? Definitely. Definitely it can create malware if you want it to. Propagate changes to user checklist items if necessary. No, there's nothing that's necessary there. Okay, so we can just delete that. Let's see, got a few questions in the chat. Kyle says, hey, do you know how to implement zero order hold interpolation? For digital signal, I need help. No, zero order hold interpolation. Zero order hold interpolation. Nope, not going to be able to help you offhand with that. Lucius says, okay, I think when they first created ChatGPT, there were no restrictions on what it could do. So at the moment that it was created, yes, it could create malware as well as network pin scripts. I guarantee you it can still create malware. You just got to know how to ask. Guarantee you. All right. So we're over here. The type is incompatible. Why? Because of the update phrase. Checklist data already has the items. Ask nicely and bat your eyes. Yep, the eyes thing is key. You nailed it. I don't know, including the items is a little bit weird to me here. Like, why do I need the items? Hey Jess, yeah, this is TypeScript, but it's basically the same as JavaScript. Niskash, what's up? Yeah, hit me with the question. I really am not sure why these items matter. Okay, so here's the existing item. Display text. Okay, so we're matching by text. You know what? That's a good point. Fuck. Sure. Okay, good point. Arafa says, what keyboard do you use? I got a few different ones. Today I'm using the this Bluetooth. Who made this thing? Xebec. I'm using the Xebec Bluetooth keyboard. Jess says, I'm just a data scientist, but started to learn JavaScript for apps and coding. Okay, cool. Thanks for being here, Jess. Niskash says, when I'm done with a repository, like I pushed my project to GitHub, and when I go back to VS, I want cancel anything I change on VS Code. Like I don't want the repository to work anymore. I don't know. I don't know if you're asking that question properly. If you can delete the repository if you want to. Elton says, if your project manager won't make stories, is that a red flag on a dev team? No, I don't think so. That's just like a different style of practice. Some teams, the developers will make tickets. Some teams, the product manager will do it. Having a project manager do it is actually less common, to be honest with you. And also engineering managers like might, but it's definitely not obligatory at all. I can't get my PM to do anything, it feels like. Yeah, it's true. Managing up, being able to influence your manager is a real skill. Like, it's not easy. But one of the ways that you can overcome that issue is just do it yourself. Just do it yourself. And I know it's not the most fun thing in the world, but there are benefits to be had over controlling your own tickets. Like, there's benefits to be had about that. Lucia says, I think he's talking about Visual Studio. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't really know how to help you. The question seemed to be like, I don't want it to work anymore, which I don't. It's like a weird thing to say. So I don't know if I understand the question. Niskash, like, I'm done pushing the project to GitHub. When I go back to VS, how to close a repository. Yeah, so here's VS Code. You can just right click and close or remove. Let's see. Doesn't it say remove? Oh, bro, is it gone? It used to have the option to just like close a repository right here. Yeah, I don't know. So are you seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, that it's like not there anymore? Oh, hold on. Is it over here? Yeah, okay. Maybe you're just like me and you're just forgetting. It's not under the File Explorer. It's under the Source Control tab. You can right click and close repository right here. And then the other thing you can do, like if you don't want to do, so this way it works, but the other thing you can do is just delete it off of your file system. So you can like reveal in Finder, there's the same thing on Mac, and then just like delete the folder, but you'll have to reclone it in the future, but that's another thing that you can do. Elton says, they gave me an hour-long video demo and said, make this. I was like, for real? Niskash says, oh, okay, thank you. You're very welcome. Thanks for the question, Niskash. Yeah, Elton, that sucks, dude. I would want to give you more personalized advice about your situation. Feel free to book a call with me if you want. Latterly.io, link is in the bio. And I can give you more detailed advice, but the general advice is work on the skills of managing up and managing others or influencing others. It's not easy to do, and that's exactly why it's a valuable skill. Being able to influence others is the mark of a super senior developer. So that's number one. Number two is like setting the skills aside. Different people operate different ways, and you need to know what's good for your team. And what's good for your team might not be good for you. I got to tell you, a plan that the team agrees to is better than a better plan that the team doesn't agree to. Rewind that. Rewind that if you need to. A plan that the team agrees to is better than a better plan that the team doesn't agree to. Okay? So work with your team. And then the third thing is like, look, if they're putting you in a situation where you literally can't meet the goal, and it's because of them, you just got to find a new job, bro. Like that's the third thing to say. So do the best with what you can. And if you can't do anything else, get a different job. King Shuffo says, can I get a job with Swift and Swift UI? Yes, you can. It's not the easiest job to get, but they're absolutely out there. Sheesh. Nice username, Sheesh. I like that. Says, how do I land a remote internship? I don't know. I don't really even believe in internships. I can tell you how to get a remote job, though. Would you rather have an internship than a job? And the way you get a remote job is right here on this checklist. So you get a portfolio, you do interview prep, you do social networking, and you knock out a bunch of interviews. Elton says, the engineer above me doesn't code. I'm like, hello, is anyone going to code? But I appreciate the tips. I'm with you, dude. I mean, there's people that I have worked with that are like 1 or 2 levels above me, and they barely code. Absolutely. It's pretty common, actually. Once you hit a certain level, at most companies, your coding goes way down, and you're almost like in sort of like a planning role. I'll probably bounce soon. The company's chill, but really people don't pull their weight. Hey, Tom, there's one other thing to do here, I can tell. I can give you a bit of advice on this. If the company's chill and if you don't want to leave, but you're just having you're being frustrated because people are not getting stuff done, the other thing you can do is contribute to open source. And you can just chill at your day job, make the paycheck, and if you're not actually having any fun from an engineering perspective and you feel like you're not making an impact, you can actually do a lot of that stuff in open source. So you could come work on Latterly and help teach people to code and have a bunch of fun and build a lot of tools that people are using. That's one of the reasons that I do this, right? Is if I spend all of my energy on my day job, I just annoy people. I'm so serious. I think I'm just a highly energetic person. Also, I drink a lot of energy drinks. And if I just coded at my full capacity, I code it probably 33, don't tell my manager this, but I code it probably 33% of my actual capacity at work. And it's already a lot of code for other people to review. And I already get bottlenecked where it's I could just ping people all day long. And at that point I'm annoying, right? Or I could write even more code and build a bigger queue. And there's problems with that because by the time you get to pull request number 9, there's a lot of rebasing and merging and conflicts and stuff. It's dude, just go work on a side project and come back next week. And everyone's really happy. And then you get to share a story about the thing you did over the weekend. Literally, they asked me this weekend, they were like, what are you doing this weekend? I was like, I'm going to do this open source thing. And they were like, cool. So that's another possible tip for your situation. Elton says, I feel you. Okay, cool. Lucius, what's the point of being a programmer that plans more than he or she codes? What's the point of being a programmer at all? It's to improve people's lives. It's to improve people's lives by building and shipping software. So some people are able to deliver more features by empowering other developers instead of by directly writing code. And that is the point of when you get to the staff level, basically. What does a staff engineer do? A staff engineer makes all the other engineers better. And if they're not doing that, they need to get out. They're not doing their role, right? So definitely bad staff engineers exist, but good ones also exist. And what the good ones do, they're called multipliers. They might write some code. In particular, they might contribute to frameworks or tools or patterns that are used by many other people. And so they do a little bit, and that has this big multiplied impact. And there's a huge social component too, because if they make this little tool, they have to facilitate adoption for that tool. And they might need to get prioritization and persuade people to even prioritize building the tool and winning headcount and winning capacity. So these are some of the things that have to do with a staff level engineer or a senior engineering manager or even a director. That's the sort of level that we're talking about here where, yeah, they don't write as much code, but they're still 100% invested in shipping features that improve people's lives. So it's necessary. Yeah, it's totally necessary. Now, I will say there are a bunch of people who sort of abuse this, and they get to that level and they coast. So I'm definitely not like saying that everyone does a good job, but the role itself is a useful role and a necessary role. Absolutely. Rohan, what's up, Rohan? We got an active chat. Thanks for being here, y'all. Quick reminder, you can go to YouTube. Link is in the bio and see the full screen. You can also go to latterly.io and sign up for free. Squints, how do I get into code? Squints, check out latterly.io. Join the Discord and we'll get you coding. There's a checklist, step by step, right there. Elton says, I kind of feel like I can't check 20 people's PRs, plan everything, make stories, and take the hardest stories. Elton, you're right about that. You're right about that, dude. You shouldn't have to do all that. So I think maybe we should do a personalized session. But it sounds to me like you need to work on managing up. That you're over capacity and you're having a hard time persuading your leadership to basically support you on that. Elton says, I feel like a staff engineer, but most of my day is helping all the other devs, but they have me as a mid. Yeah, and then that would be a sign that maybe you need to have a new job. That happens too, right? Sometimes, actually very often, it's easier to get promoted by interviewing instead of getting promoted at your company, particularly when you're in a recession. I mean, I know some people don't want to call it a recession, but the economy's not great right now. Although it's turning around. Rohan says, all programmers plan and research more than they code. It's part of the gig. And then Elton says, yeah, management is really receptive, but there's sort of no one else can help. No one else can do it but you, Tom. Help. Yeah, I got it. Cool, thanks for being here, y'all. Good to chat. All right, let's get back to a little bit of code, and then we might be wrapping up soon. So make sure you follow the page, tap the like button, share it with other people you know who already code. They just want to hang out with the community. Or if they're interested in coding, send it to them as well. Cheers, thanks again, mate. You got it. Thanks for being here, Tom. Elton Tom. We're getting near the end of this code. So I have this checklist, which may be null, but then I check it here. So here it's guaranteed not to be null. And now I can do the update. So first I'm finding it. I'm confirming that one exists in the database. Maybe I should throw. Attempted to update a checklist, but it wasn't found. Oh, through a heart. Thanks, Lucius. Tito says, do you use Codium? No, I do not. No, I do not. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's kind of cool, but I don't use it. Attempted to make a checklist, but it wasn't found. This is where Python does have something that I like more, which is you can do these parens. I like that more than this approach, but whatever. Attempted to update a checklist, but it wasn't found. And then it puts it on one line. I was trying to break the line. Let's see. Ooh, we got a rose. Gang, gang. Appreciate it. Thank you again, Lucius. Okay, let's leave it on one line for now, I guess. Whatever. I feel like that line's too long. Wrap this line. It's too long. Remove the concat and do that error message as a single string. I want it to be multi-line though. That's the thing. I just think it's too wide. I don't want to have to scroll my... You see how it's going off the edge of my screen? I don't want to have to scroll my screen. Cameron, would you recommend startups as a first job? No, I don't. Now, I'm not opposed to them. Yeah, this is not working. All right, whatever, dude. I guess even though the string feels long to me, it's within my prettier settings. That's fine. So I do not recommend startups as a first job. I'm not opposed to them either, but there's nothing special that makes them better, and actually it can be pretty rough. Kenny, lines to about 100 characters is reasonable before wrapping. Yeah, I have the standard prettier settings, but don't pick a magic number. Like, that's not the way to do things. The way to do it is if it works for you as a developer. Let's see. I don't know. Where's my prettier rules? ESLint? Do I not have width set anywhere? Maybe I can go ahead and set it. Yeah, so this is, I got like 90 character screen width right now, so that's a little bit less than 100, but whatever. I'm not that stuck on it. I don't know, it's kind of annoying. If I collapse the bookmark, I can read it. We got some bracelets, all right. MG joined, what's up, MG? I didn't even ask and it set it to 80 characters. Boom. Let's go for it if that's going to... fix my situation. Oh no, that didn't work. Whoa. It's not working. It's not working. So I've got over 80 characters there. Let me look at my settings, Jason. 80 is from when CRT monitors were common. That's fine. I mean, I'm just using it because it fits in my screen width. Bummer, dude. Oh, you know what? I think prettier isn't going to break the line. I think that's what's going on. Okay, so let me try this now. And then that is not 81 selected. Yo, now I'm just like straight nerding about this. And it brings them all on the same line. No, it's just straight up not using my prettier config.js. I have an editor config. I think my editor config is overriding. Did you know Perl for loops completely destroy for loops? Thought that was funny because C is compiled but Perl is interpreted. That's kind of crazy. VS Code has line wrap settings too. That might be getting priority. Yeah, I think so. Nope. All right. Well, I don't know. I think we have, you know what? I think it's using like global prettier settings. I think that's what's going on. But I think we've spent too much time on something that is not that important at this time. Going to revert these. Oh, okay. This could also be the issue. Ah, now we got it. So editor config was stomping on prettier. No, I don't know that that's the case either. I don't know. I don't know, but it seems like not that important. Okay, so back to the top. We update our checklists. First of all, we're finding the checklist. Then, if we find it, we'll update it. Am I sharing the wrong screen on YouTube? Oh, bummer. Yeah, how is that happening? My VS Code is like hidden. Contact form. Oh man, Restream is like frozen on an old Chrome window or something. Yeah, how lame is that, dude? I don't know why it be like that. Okay, so if I switch from a screen capture to a window capture, we can do init Hall of Fame. Now the size is like all messed up. Like, what is going on? And now let's go back. And did it refresh itself? Okay. And now can I switch around? Okay, so I guess that helped. And if I lock it, can I still switch around? All right, so I think that helped on YouTube. Thanks for letting me know. Sorry about that. Anish on YouTube. Shout out to Anish. I don't know why that got stuck that way, but it looks like it's fixed. Okay. We just want HTML to be ahead of CSS. That's literally all we're trying to do. So we update the checklist here. Attempted to make a checklist, but it wasn't found in this case, okay? Let's go ahead and extract that because we're gonna need to use that error in two cases. No, I guess we should give them different error messages. Somehow in this case it is saying that it's never null. I wonder why. That's an interesting compiler situation. Oh, I think I'm getting CPU crammed. I think that's why it froze earlier. How often do you stream? About 4 times a week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is pretty common, and then another time during the week is pretty common. In terms of a regular schedule, I'm trying to get that for y'all. I want it to be Thursday, Sunday. Go support Latterly.io. Sign up at a paid account if you want to help me be able to block off time. Then I need to actually monetize it. Otherwise, it's just whenever I can squeeze it in, which is sort of like random. But weekends are pretty common. Kenny, you are doing an anti-pattern. You on track to have coding pyramid developing. Okay, so what do you recommend, Kenny? Attempted to create a checklist after finding it, but it wasn't returned by the update. Checklist found, but not returned by the updater. I think that works. What do you recommend, Kenny? We need to make sure it's not null, right? Reduce the number of ifs. Ideally, write your conditions so they don't have else statements. I mean, I could pick a different syntax, like I could pick a ternary or something like that, but the logical if condition is unavoidable because the ORM could return null. A single switch would not work here. You could nest switches, but I would not prefer nesting switches to this nested if block. Again, like I agree, like nesting ifs isn't great. I could create some intermediary functions just to keep each function flat. I'm not really crazy about that either. But yeah, I could do something like this, ensure not null. So I could do that and then create like a change method like that somewhere else. But I like this pattern more because it gives you the unique error string. I could make that other thing change not null and then pass it a string, but then it's just like, it's really not saving me anything. I mean, it would flatten the code a bit. Move null check to line 30. Line 30 is a null check. Line 30 is already a null check. They're two different null checks. So checklist can become null here, and it can become null again here. So that's why there's two null checks. For checklist, if it is null, then it should error out. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. That works for me. That'll let us flatten it out a bit. That works for me. Man, I'm getting CPU crammed here. Are you seeing this? I'm on an M2 and it's still lagging. I do have like a bunch of Chrome instances open. Lucius says, gotta go. We'll hop on when I get a chance. See you, Lucius. Thanks for being here. All right, Kenny, check it out. We got it flatter now. Sounds good? Okay, so we have this checklist. If it's null, we error. Let's see. No, this needs to be within an if, but at least we don't have to nest the ifs. So if it's null, we have this error. And I don't need an else, I just continue. So we do this, and now it can be null again. And I give a different error there. BP joined. What's up, BP? Thanks for being here. And now, good. So now we get down to this loop. And the loop has a type error we need to fix, and then we'll pretty much be done. Update the existing checklist item. That's fine. We don't need that. We don't need the comment. We do need the logic for sure. Okay. So if there's an existing item, we'll update it. Otherwise, we'll create it. Good, makes sense. Create new checklist item and related user checklist items. How did you learn to code? Building projects. So it started with websites in WordPress. Thanks for the follow. Started with WordPress and people wanted to customize features and it continued on from there. So projects is the answer. Thanks for being here. So we create a new checklist item and related user checklist items. Where's the user checklist? Ah. I need to loop through these. User checklists. Anish says, what database is this? We're using Supabase with Postgres. DSP, do you think it is better to go to school to learn to program or better to learn on your own? Absolutely better to go to school. It's absolutely better to go to school if you can pick either way. Thanks for the follow. Okay, so this is the existing item on a checklist, but where's the user checklist? However, it isn't required. Yep, that's true. It's not required. Creates a new checklist item, queries all user checklist records, iterates over them for each user checklist, creates a new user checklist item. Why school over self-taught? The reason is that very few people do it self-taught. So the normal completion rate for an online course is about 5%. So it's not a reliable tool, and that's just to complete the online course. Forget about getting a job from that. So the reason not to do self-taught, and the other reason is that we know that social networking not only improves learning, but it also improves your ability to land a job. So the best ways to learn include learning with a group. So project-based learning, team-based learning, social emotional learning. So learning by yourself, first of all, almost no one does it. And then second of all, even those who do it, they don't learn particularly well. And then they don't land a job particularly easily because they haven't built up a social network or anything like that. In addition, schools have employer recognition. And just like employers love to hire from schools. When you get a college degree, it says a lot of things about you. It says that you're hardworking. It says that you can put up with boring work. So those are some of the reasons. All right, y'all, I'm going to wrap up the YouTube stream. We're going on about 2 hours now. If you're on TikTok, keep hanging on because we're not quite done. But I do like to keep the YouTube streams under a couple hours because I use a clipper, Opus Clips, and it gets annoyed if your stream is too long.